welcome to episode 3 of the Ancient Esoterica Podcast. My name is Sarah, and welcome back to the show. Today, I am reporting to you live from smack dab in the middle of eclipse season. Now, if you don't know what eclipse season is, every year, twice a year, there are a series of eclipses of our moon and our sun that influence us very powerfully energetically. So ever since the beginning of my spiritual awakening, I've always seen the power of eclipse season and of these eclipse transits. So the reason why we call it eclipse season is because it starts with a full moon lunar eclipse and ends with a new moon solar eclipse. And in between these two moon cycles, this 2-week period, is usually a lot of change and a lot of upheaval. Now, I heard an astrologer say this analogy before, and it always stuck with me, and I feel like it explains this time of year, which again, like I said, happens twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, I think. I don't know. Yeah, happens twice a year. And this analogy that I heard is that eclipse season is like, with the lunar eclipse, the curtain comes down on Act 1 of a play. And all of the sets and everything is moved around, changed around, refreshed behind the scenes, behind the curtain. And then at the new moon solar eclipse, the curtain comes up and we enter an entirely new act of life. And I have seen that in my personal life and in the lives of those around me over the years, that this period of time, this 2-week period, always brings, although it can be uncomfortable, necessary changes, upheaval, tower moments, new beginnings, endings of cycles, etc., etc. And usually there can be a lot of moments in our lives that really bring us to our knees. Like, for example, I woke up from my coma on a new moon solar eclipse back in the day, and I was in my coma during eclipse season in 2017. And now when we were living in Florida, my landlord actually totaled his car the night of, I think it was the solar eclipse in 2022. And that's really common that I've heard a lot of astrologers speak on, is getting into accidents, totaling your car, having just those debilitating issues with your car. And actually one of my very close family members got in an accident yesterday and totaled her car. Sending her so much love. She's okay. She didn't get injured. She got a little banged up, bruised, a couple little cuts on her lip and stuff, but she's doing okay. And she's going to make it through to the other side of this challenge. Because I feel like these challenges that we attract, it's not because, you know, tough luck and the universe like needs to teach us these hard lessons and like is this strict, overbearing, like overly protective, aggressive parent. I don't really see it that way. And I see it that even when we attract things like car accidents, like totaling a car or whatever else, it's usually because there's something going on beneath the surface that we're not seeing, that we're avoiding. And sometimes these things like accidents or illnesses or whatever, it really stops us in our tracks and slows us down and almost forces us to look within and see, oh, okay, like I haven't been giving to myself enough, or, you know, I've been kind of enabling this person and doing too much for them and they're taking advantage of me, or I've been neglecting my body and, you know, doing a lot of things that don't serve me. So these flare-ups and these crisis points and these issues, they come up for a reason, so that we can resolve them, clear them, and enter this new act after the solar eclipse refreshed and new and having gone through a bit of an up-leveling in our lives. And so, as I mentioned, we are right in the middle of eclipse season. So the day I'm filming this is Friday, September 20th. It's actually my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. And Tuesday, the 17th. Yeah, Tuesday the 17th was the full moon lunar eclipse. And on that day, I decided, or my mom actually booked for us a group breathwork session a few towns over from me with this amazing healer who I've been to one-on-one before, and I very much revere and respect and honor her work and her online presence and just everything that she does. Amazing soul. 12th House Studio, if you ever want to check out her studio if you're local to Massachusetts. It's in Melrose. But so my mom booked this full moon breathwork ceremony, and I've done breathwork a few times before. I was a part of the Full-Time Purpose group coaching container last year, and there was a online breathwork ceremony, which was amazing. Like you wouldn't think that doing it online, you know, with earbuds in, you know, being guided through it through a screen and through your earbuds, you wouldn't think that would be powerful, but oh my gosh, it was amazing. And then I went through 2 of these breathwork ceremonies with that program. And actually years ago in 2021, I went to an ayahuasca retreat at Soul Quest in Orlando, which actually just closed down. And they had a breathwork ceremony before the second ayahuasca ceremony on Saturday. And I will never forget that. I had reclaimed parts of my humanity and come into my body in such a cosmic and etheric and magical way that I really needed at that time, because I was very much in the ethers, in the higher realms, higher chakras, full time. Like there was no really body integration. And that's what that first breathwork session helped me with a lot, was to see that like I can bring this spiritual essence, this mysticism, this magic, etheric energy into the body and have these experiences without drugs, these like psychedelic almost experiences that, you know, were just from breathing. And so I went to this breathwork ceremony on Tuesday, and that is the main topic of this video today. Is I really want to focus on the power of somatic healing practices and holistic healing. So focusing on the mind, the body, the emotional body, and the spirit, not just focusing on mental health, not just focusing on the emotions, the nervous system, the body, the connecting with the soul, focusing on all of it. And in addition to that, honoring the masculine and the feminine dynamics and polarities within every single human, because every one of us is masculine and feminine. Even if we are a female embodied person or a male embodied person, we still hold that opposite polarity of energy within us. And so on Tuesday, the night of this eclipse, at 7 o'clock, I went to breathwork and met my mom there and one of our close friends. I was so nervous going into it. About an hour or 2 before, because I was very excited and I could feel that the sound healing portion of the breath work was going to be so amazing. Like I could just tune into that, and I was so excited about that. But I was still very nervous, and the more I tuned into it, the more I could see that it was just my survival mechanism, the aspects of my body that wanted to keep me in the familiar. You know, I was treading into this breathwork ceremony, even though I had done it before. I didn't really know what to expect, and the human aspects of myself were afraid of that unknown. So I was nervous going into it, got there, settled in, instantly sort of felt better being in the environment of the studio and of all the other people who were there. And we started the breathwork evening with a little bit of journaling. So our facilitator, Alicia, she presented with us some journaling prompts. It was, in what ways am I resisting life? And are there any truths that I have been avoiding? And I really sort of just dropped into it, let whatever wanted to come through. And I actually have my intentions right here. I'm not going to read all of it, because upon reflecting and upon being out of the situation now, I see that my answers to these questions and sort of my intentions for the evening were very much at the surface. I was speaking on a lot of the surface level feelings, like the emotions of fear, shame, guilt, all these things that have been amplified for me leading up to this eclipse. I spoke on a lot of it in last week's episode, but I basically, I was not feeling, I was really letting fear and discomfort and comfort, these really powerful feelings in my body, to steer my ship. I felt very much out of control of my life and just at the whim of these intense emotional states and cravings and intrusive thoughts. I did not feel capable of holding myself through these changes that I'm making, through stepping into living my dream life and, having a lot of these dreams realized. I've been listening to a lot of other people over myself and really not knowing what I needed to individuate and to be a sovereign person, because when I'm alone, I love my alone time. I'm able to feel very balanced, very directed, purposeful, knowing thyself. But when I introduce other people into the situation, especially unconscious people and very unregulated, dysfunctional people, it just totally scrambles up my energy and just I betray myself, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I don't want to just constantly reflect people back at them out of fear of my truth being rejected or persecuted or whatever. And that was very much at the surface of what was really going on, which I'm going to get into in a moment, because the second half of this intention was, what truths am I avoiding? And again, this was a lot of surface level things, not trusting myself, being deeply afraid of life and the unconsciousness of humanity, being very afraid of the primal human aspects of being in a body and being incarnated, because I really feel like my soul has not incarnated on the earth plane in a very long time. And the lifetimes that I have taken have been very challenging. It's very much easier for me as a soul to float around in the ethers and to be in those higher realms and even in higher dimensional planes and worlds like the Sirius star system, Orion, Pleiades, Arcturus. I connect more with those energies than earthly energies. And I feel like as a soul, I very much reject the earth plane, and in a way, spirit, source, God sort of gave me this opportunity to make peace with being human and all of the ickies and the intricacies and the shadows that come with it. Because I've very much been rejecting these aspects of life, I think, for lifetimes, because of the intensity, the just difficulty of coming into this very limiting meat suit filled with ignorance, deeply programmed in this society that does not honor the soul, and that we won't go into that. We'll just leave that at that. So yeah, I feel like very much as a soul, I have not been to the earth plane in a very long time, which has made it very difficult for me to come fully into my human, to honor my human, to honor the sensitivities, the cravings, the everything about it. It's been deeply challenging for me, which has very much been a lifelong journey. Because, so, set the intentions, everything, we'll continue on with the story. So we went into the breathwork, which pretty much what it is you're laying down on a yoga mat and you do sort of rhythmic breathings, different breathing patterns that really, I don't remember in this moment exactly what it does, but it activates other parts of your consciousness and honestly takes you into more of a psychedelic experience. It opens you up to the higher realms, but also gets you deep into the cellular structure of your body. So you breathe like this through your mouth, one breath into the belly, 70% of your breath into the belly, 30% of the breath into the upper chest, and then releasing all of it. And there's music playing amazing music, gives me chills even thinking about it. And you really start with just the breath. And you'll start to get tingles in your body. And actually, I did not know this. All the times I've done breath work, my arms have always gotten so tingly. And I've been told that that is normal and that happens, but I didn't know what the underlying energy is about that. And the facilitator at this in-person breathwork ceremony, she said that that's actually when your heart energy is trying to expand. And I don't know if it's like you're not letting it or that energy is just expanding and it's just kind of pushing out stuff or getting constricted as it's doing that, which very much resonated and is a big bulk of what I was experiencing in this ceremony. So yep, we're breathing, and she was really guiding us through, telling us when to really get into it, get in with the breath. And I started to really just feel the layers of grief just moving through me. That basically, as I said, my intention and my answers to those questions were scratching the surface of what was really going on beneath the surface within my body. And what this was just really deeply, I've been really deeply rejecting my body and my human pretty much my whole life. And this ties in with that soul level energy I mentioned. And so I really learned that I have been deeply rejecting my body and my human, especially my arms and the scars on my arms, my burn scars. Because these scars make my arms very skinny and tiny. They're very uncomfortable. It makes my arms very weak, especially I have a lot of issues with my left wrist and left hand. I can't hold things, even like a pizza pan with a small pizza on it. My wrist there's zero strength there. And these things have been deeply challenging for me, especially because a lot of my consciousness has been isolated within my mind and within the higher chakras. So these uncomfortable sensations, this just feeling of being constricted and being in a body, and just the ickiness and the heaviness and the density and just the meatiness of it has been sort of horrifying for me. And this has been the root of a lot of the fear and the shame and the guilt that I have been cycling through, because I could feel all of the grief leaving, and I could really feel what it was rooted in as it was being expressed. I was bawling, deep, sad child, cries, that deep, just grief, just releasing and releasing and releasing. And I received a lot of memories of myself in 7th and 8th grade when I, didn't have big boobs and my hair wouldn't part the way the other girls parted, and I couldn't get my butt to look like the other girls looked like in yoga pants. And I was getting shamed and called a hoe by my family for dressing like other girls dressed, and just being deeply confused and rejecting myself also because I was receiving a lot of rejection externally. But truly what I learned was that I was attracting this external judgment, this external ridicule and rejection, because I was rejecting my body unconsciously. Because I've always been sensitive to foods. I've much more preferred bland foods, and my family did not really understand that or honor that. There's a lot of dynamics that played into it. All of us were in survival mode. Nobody had enough, yada, yada. But a lot of my sensitivities, my health issues, these things that were human related that I had no control of at the mental level, got me rejecting myself and thus rejected by others. So a few key stories that have really come up to be cleared and to be recognized for me was, like I said, really rejecting and shaming my body, not accepting my body image, being very uncomfortable by it, wanting nothing but to be popular and accepted and loved. Because what at the root of that was being loved and having a sense of family and community. And I did not feel that when I moved to this new town in 7th grade, which also I feel like did really reflect that when my father got remarried and when I sort of had all these new family dynamics around me, and I moved like half hour, 45 minutes away from all of my family, my friends, everyone who I had connected with thus far, I felt rejected and isolated and outcast in the house I was living in. And that reflected into school. I felt very rejected, very unable to fit in, just so much shame and hatred of myself. And that is what led to a lot of my like icky, suicide-y energy starting in 8th grade. I also realized that because when I was younger, I always wanted, like if we ordered Chinese food, all I wanted was white rice and chicken fingers. But my father's allergic to chicken and thought that white rice, did not want to buy white rice because it was bland and nobody liked it, even though I did and it was the only thing I wanted. So I was told, no, we're not getting that. And now I understand his logic because I was the only one who was going to eat the white rice. He didn't want to waste it, you know, especially if I was going to have just one scoop of it and then throw the rest away. That's wasteful. And, you know, scarcity consciousness, being in survival mode, it causes you to really focus on those things and on preserving and serving the whole and just those things. So, you know, no ill will. I understand it, but I now see how much my little fragmented little girl brain took these things so seriously and so personally. And another memory that really resurfaced was when I found out that I had scoliosis and found out that I had gingivitis at these, I think it was when I was in like 4th grade and like 5th grade, something like that. And I remember I got in trouble for these things, that when my parents found out about this, one time I was at a skating lesson. This was in 6th grade, I think, actually, the gingivitis thing. I was in at a skating lesson, and I remembered skating around and seeing that my parent had showed up, and they were just sitting there on the phone being told by my other parent that I had gingivitis, and they were just shaking their head looking at me like this. And I remember my heart sank and I was like, oh my God, I did something wrong. I'm in trouble. And I felt that love just be withdrawn, just be like ripped away from me. And I just felt so unworthy, so ashamed, like I was less than, like there was something freaking wrong with me. And then I got off the ice and was yelled at because I had gingivitis, scolded and punished and yelled at because I had a health condition. And again, not blaming. I understand the level of consciousness that this parent was at. I get it, but these things caused such a deep rejection of my body because I felt betrayed by it. This thing, this gingivitis that I couldn't control, that I did not will into existence, but was there and got me in trouble. And that caused me to absolutely hate my body and really started a downward spiral of just self-rejection and then externally mirrored rejection by my peers and by my family and all of that. And so I really realized that I was feeling all of this fear and these body discomforts and these cravings and just everything because I have rejected my human and my body so much and have been really living from a very isolated state of consciousness within my mind. And this was very much expanded as I went through a spiritual awakening and have been reclaiming and healing all of these shadow aspects within me. However, I could still see that this wound and this trauma body was still running the show within my being, which was not doing me any good and was causing me to continuously attract situations and relationships and dynamics where my truth and my sensitivities and who I really am as a human being on this planet, where that was being rejected. So when I received this insight that I was attracting these situations because I was rejecting myself, it was like so much clarity, and I was able to just really cry it out and release that energy, recognizing that also the reason why I have been so suicide-y is because of that rejection of my human and of just wanting to go back to the spirit world and wanting to go back to source, wanting to be in those realms of unconditional love and presence and consciousness where I am so familiar, and wanting to just get the heck away from Earth and being a human. So once I was able to really realize that truth and to feel that, like, yes, that is true, even at a conscious level, because a lot of these things that come up, they are unconscious, that when you realize them, it can kind of make you a little uncomfortable and be like, oh crap, like, ooh, is that true? And we don't really want to look at it. But this is one of those things that I saw so clearly. I saw my part in it. I saw how I have been contributing to my own suffering, keeping myself in a victim mentality, and just not receiving the connection and the love that my body and soul truly craved and wanted. So when I saw this so clearly, it really helped me to see that, okay, if I am going to be here on this earth plane, I need to honor my humanity. And I've done so much research and learning and inner work to see that my sensitivities are my superpowers and they are my gift, especially my food sensitivities. Like, if your body is rejecting fast food or really heavy meats or really like processed snacks and stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. Period. Nothing wrong with that. And we can get so caught up in the shame and the self-hatred because our peers are able to sit there and eat a whole bag of Doritos and seem fine, but we can't. We eat one Dorito and it's like acid reflux and indigestion and bloating and everything all at once for days. And it's like, what the heck? Why can't I just be normal? And I really feel like that was me for so long, for like 27 years. I'm about to turn 28 in 2 weeks. Not even, the day after the solar eclipse, actually, which is really cool. But my whole life, I have just been in this unconscious frame of self-hatred and rejection and shame for who I really am and my authentic presence. And that's also why I've really doubled down on a lot of the spiritual studies and the, things like the law of attraction, the law of one, astrology, tarot, gene keys, starseed lineages, otherworldly beings, channeling. All of these things are such passions of mine, and they really do represent a lot of, I feel like, my masculine side, which I have been very in my hyper masculine in learning and understanding in the light, expansion, protecting myself, but totally neglecting my feminine side, which is that sensitive, feeling, human, darker, unconscious side of things. And so I really focused on a lot of these etheric things because I just did not know how to process my sensitivities. And now the more I did learn about spiritual awakening and higher consciousness, holistic health, I did learn that the body is naturally sensitive. And all these GMOs and these processed foods and these chemicals that we eat that makes our brain think we're eating food, but it's literally not even food. It's just a chemical that triggers the response in our brain that is like, oh, this tastes like cheese, this tastes like chicken, but it's literally not even real. And it just clogs up the body, makes you agitated, makes you irritated, etc., etc. But so I really discovered that my sensitivities, my ability to tune into the emotions of others and to like really feel the thoughts of others, like not necessarily that I can sit there and be like, oh, reading your mind, but your aura extends out 10 feet. So if you're within a 10-foot vicinity of another person, or honestly, if you're even watching and connecting with another person on TV, you can oftentimes feel into or psychically receive what is going on in that person's mental body, because our thoughts are being projected out into this field, into our aura. So you can pick up on those things if you are sensitive enough. And I have found that my sensitivity is very much activated because I did not feel safe and because I was in these environments where there was so much not being said, where what was being said was not matching up with the energy. So even as a child, I really doubled down on tuning into the energy behind what people were saying. And I also now am realizing that I think that is one of the reasons why my eyesight diminished, because I was being called to not look at things at face value and not just look at the surface of things. And it allowed me to tune into those inner realms, basically, I'm very highly visual, and my third eye chakra and those visionary realms are very highly detailed for me. You know, when I'm doing readings, I receive flashes and visions and insights through my third eye and through that higher mental body. So my inner sight was really developed because I could see that what people were telling me was not the truth. And the way people were acting and the front they were putting up on the surface did not match what was going on beneath the surface. However, because I did not understand what was going on, and because I was just getting fed all this programming, you know, just normal matrix child life, just, you know, go to school, get your homework done, get good grades. That's the meaning of life. And I was so caught up in that hamster wheel of trying to prove myself and get good grades so I could receive the love and the acceptance and the validation from my family. It really just caused a lot of just confusion for me because I didn't understand what was going on. But now I have gone on this journey and I've really understood that just because other people are uncomfortable with life and avoiding their emotions and are acting and putting on a front doesn't mean that I have to be. Just because other people are uncomfortable with grief and with uncomfortable emotions and everything is just surface level, like, good, how you doing, doesn't mean I have to be. Obviously, I can meet people where they are at, but I do not have to betray myself because I have all of this extra depth that people are unwilling to go into. And I was really shown that in this breathwork ceremony. I was really shown that I am at a soul level and at a human level done with just living in my mind and having all of my consciousness isolated in the mind and really trying to solve my problems from that level. Because you often hear you can't solve problems from the same level they were created in. And I do feel like spending so much time in my mind and in these mental realms, it really did cause a lot of problems for me because I was not able to see things clearly and was projecting my own judgments and meanings and stories onto things based on my own confusion and my own assumptions. So yeah, I was very much done living from the level of the mind. And there's some other things I'm going to go into, but this is just really coming up now. Right at the end of the breathwork, I had a big release. I was pretty much like really just going through all of this and just tuning into this fear and this lack of trust in my body, because all these health issues and all of these like ailments and crises and things that I've experienced, it would bring me into this deep level of fear and distrust and feeling betrayed by my body. And that was really coming up strong in this ceremony because my arms were full pins and needles. I was scared. I was like, am I gonna like, my arm's gonna fall off? I don't know, like that's just where my mind was going. And I remember I was just like, you know what? I can trust. If there is this benevolent, all-loving, all-knowing spirit that runs through everyone and everything, I'm not gonna die right now, because I do see that's where this distrust is rooted, is like having these crises that bring me so close to death and being so afraid that I am gonna die, which I realized was very much rooted in my ego, and seeing where I was really operating from that level of ego, that level of being separate, being, you know, just separate and being human and all that. But so as I'm really getting into it and you know, processing some other emotions and some other things, I experienced this like insane hot flash where it originated very much, I feel like it was this release through my heart chakra. And it honestly really, I'm getting chills as I'm going to say it, so we'll take that as a confirmation. It honestly felt like it was like an entity detachment. Almost like I had this like Emperor Palpatine, dark, demonic energy. And it's crazy, I'm just realizing this now, years ago, probably 2 years ago, I really felt like I had like a darker demonic entity attached to the back of my heart chakra. And it was really driving me into wanting to take my life, and on deeply just not being able to open my heart, hating, just being stuck in that darkness. And since this thing that happened a few years ago, I've really disentangled from that because I didn't want to give my power to this entity, to whatever it was, whether it was a demonic energy or not. I didn't want to give my power to that. So I did a series of cleansing and releases, and I had a physical reaction 2 years ago where I almost passed out and could feel this energy almost like detach from the back of my heart. And I was like, whoa, okay. But so during the breath work, it felt like it was like a full release of this energy. And I felt it go through all of my blood vessels. And it was this massive hot flash in my entire body. Just like a massive hot flash. If you've had one, just picture that in your entire body, but really coming out of your heart and flowing through all of your blood vessels from your heart. Like I could feel the heat. And now I've been doing a lot of personal research and introspection on another health crisis that I've dealt with, which is that when I was in the hospital and since then, I've had what they call blood bugs, which I've really intuited also has something to do with this darker energy and these attachments through my heart chakra and through my heart energy of myself. So it really felt like when I had this hot flash, the blood bugs, that attachment in my heart chakra, all of it just like cleared and released. And I've learned through my studies with the gene keys, there's one part in the book that speaks about whenever you sweat, whenever you use the bathroom, or throw up any like excretion of liquids, body fluids, all of that, it's a release of karma, of programming, of energies from within the body. And that really clicked for me when I read that, because every time I would trip on psychedelics, I would have to pee so much, like once an hour or more than that maybe. And I could feel that this was my way of releasing programming, releasing emotions, releasing attachments, that when I was peeing, I was like releasing waste. And so I took this major hot flash and this profusely sweating, like my shirt was soaked. It was like crazy. Actually, I just realized I was wearing this shirt on Tuesday. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I released that energy and that attachment and really sweated it out and physically released it too. And after that, here, I just want to check my notes real quick, because right after the ceremony ended, so yeah, it was just this massive release out primarily the back of my heart chakra and into all of my blood vessels. And after that, I was able, like all the thoughts, it was like I was directly connected with my soul and my higher self and the truth of who I am. And I could feel this, like my human, every part of me agreed with this, like I want to be alive. I accept my life and my human. It's okay and it's safe for me to individuate. I can meet my own needs. It's okay that my body has unique needs. And I no longer reject my human experience. That was such a profound experience for me, that I was really being shown where I was operating from, what the root of all of these energies were. I released all of it in a very physical experience. And I remember after I released it, like it was such a power and such an intensity, but I did not let myself sink into the fear, because I could feel the fear of like, am I about to die? Like popping up, which is so dramatic, but that's, you know, human things. But I really just softened. And I remembered what Alicia said, our facilitator, in the very beginning. She said, if it gets too intense for you, just breathe normally, slow your breaths, stop the rhythmic breaths, and just really like let the energy settle before you start getting into it again. And this release and everything happened towards the end of the breathwork portion, which was, I'd say, probably about like a half hour, maybe a little bit more. It felt like eternity, but it was very quick. So yeah, so I had all of these thoughts of like, wow, like this is where I was at, released all of that darkness, that like demonic energy that I was allowing to run the show, just because I was so unaware of it, aware in some ways, but just not like present with it and not really connected to the lived experience of it. Again, just trying to figure things out from the level of the mind. I really did realize also after this that I have been deeply uncomfortable with my burned body since my accident. And I've really played it off and talked like, oh no, like these scars make me unique, it's great, but it has created a lot of internal conflicts and issues for myself, because I still was rooted in just wanting to be normal and wanting to be loved and accepted. And it felt like these scars got me a lot of rejection, and they're deeply mysterious and unknown. It causes me to need to sit on a cushion. You know, I can't really sit on a hard surface for long because my whole ass was burned off, and I just could not accept these new challenges and these specialties that came with this new body. But through this experience and through really just connecting with myself, being present and honoring myself, I was able to really accept that. I could tell I wasn't fully accepting and fully loving, but there was a part of me that was like, you know, okay, like this is what I've got, and I've got to do the best I can with what I've got. I'm going to learn how to love and accept this body. It's not going to happen overnight, but I'm no longer going to completely reject and hate this body that I've been given. And that, again, was such a shift point for me. I really experienced how deeply uncomfortable I was with this new body and how badly I did want to go back to my normal body that could operate human life normally in a just baseline, systematic, just mainstream way. But that's not who I am. And that's not why I'm here. That's not who I am meant to be. And all of these experiences and all of these difficulties, these challenges have happened for a reason, so that I can reclaim myself. Because I was able to really see that the reason why I've been betraying and rejecting myself was because I just wanted to receive love and acceptance and to fit in. But that's also not who I'm meant to be. I'm meant to be a leader. I'm meant to create spaces for other people to meet me at. Not necessarily meet everyone at their level, which I can do, but to bring people up to my level and to honor my uniqueness and act as a permission slip for others. Because I know there's so many other people who go through similar things to me, where, you know, maybe their body has deeply rejected meats and they live in America, and America is a meat-centric society and culture that, like, if you don't have meat on your plate, 9 times out of 10, your family's going to shame you. But what if your body is rejecting that for a reason? Can you honor that? And can you see that it's okay to individuate and it's okay to choose what's right for you, even if others aren't choosing it, even if others aren't agreeing with it, and even if it makes other people uncomfortable? This individuation process that we're all on is deeply challenging, especially because we have stored within our junk DNA lifetimes and generations of this karma and this trauma and this being forced out of our natural rhythms, out of our natural tendencies and paths, and what truly resonates and aligns with us. And when we continue to follow herd mentality and just do what everybody else is doing, it can serve us and it can help us to find ourselves if you're in the right crowds and in the right herds. But if you are, you know, a sheep who is forcing themselves into a herd of cows even if you're similar, even if you can vibe on certain things, you like the same grass maybe, you're still two completely different beings who have two completely different needs. And if you, the sheep, continue to betray yourself to try and be a cow, it's going to just create issues for you because it's not natural and it's creating imbalances for you. That was a pretty good analogy that just kind of like came through in the moment. Through this heart chakra release and activation, honestly, I was able to release my distrust and my fear of my body, of its pains and its complications and its sensitivities. This hasn't been easy and I'm still on the journey, but I just received such clarity and such a profound experience on this day that has opened me up to a new path in my life. So right as the breathwork portion was starting to end, I received this message that it felt channeled directly from spirit. It did feel like it may have been a guide of some sort. I don't know, but it was just such a clear transmission directly to me that said, you're done living life at the level of the mind, that this is the way you've been operating and this has served its purpose, but I cannot take this moving forward into my next chapters. Because ever since I launched the podcast and since July, so a few months ago, I've really fully committed to going full time in my purpose and in my own sovereignty and my own business. So I've stepped away from my matrix job that I was working and I've fully dedicated myself into being an entrepreneur and being who I've always wanted to be, which was a YouTuber and a podcaster and just to help people through my services. And I started this journey in July and haven't booked a lot of clients. And I've started to receive the message that my human was rejecting a bit, that it's time to pivot and it's time to do my work in a new way. This doesn't mean to completely stop my Akashic Records work and my psychic readings and all of that, but there's something else that I'm calling in at a soul level that is going to help me in the realms of abundance and money and also being of service to others. And this was confusing for me and whatever, but so this message that I received in the end, very, very tail end of the breathwork portion of the ceremony was my soul realignment work and my soul work, Akashic Records work, is not my main focus anymore. This was helping me to help people at the level of the mind, to know themselves, to intellectually understand what's going on, what's the root cause of the blocks, what thought forms, what past traumas, like just totally mentally processing things and understanding things. But after this profound healing and experience that I had from the breathwork in just a few moments, just 30 minutes or so, I want to help people at the level of human because that is what helped me the most. Doing this breathwork and doing these other body, somatic, shamanic practices that I've been really tuning into, especially over the past few weeks, has helped me profoundly at the level of human. And so it was like just this multi-dimensional concept that was just like delivered to me. It felt like 8 million words, but just in this one essence. And it was like, the soul realignment work is not my main focus anymore. And I am meant to help people at the level of human. And that is why I have been drawn into finishing my shamanic life coaching certification program that I've been working on for about a year now. So I have not done any work on this program in about 6 months, I would say. Just, going about my journey, whatever, I just sort of kind of forgot about it and left it on the back burner. But about 3 days before the breathwork ceremony, so over the weekend before, I was randomly drawn to start listening to the shamanic life coaching courses again. And now I was feeling really low and just overwhelmed by just all of the darkness and the shadows and everything moving through me and moving through others. And when I'm learning new things and enriching myself, it always makes me feel better. So that's the main reason why I started doing the shamanic life coaching certification programming videos again. But at the end of this little message I got in the breathwork ceremony, it showed me like, dude, use what you've been learning in the shamanic life coaching to serve others. Use all those practices to serve people at the level of human. And it was like, I have chills just saying it, like, oh my gosh, like the eureka moment. It just filled me with so much clarity, so much excitement, so much raw life force that just like, I know who the frick I am. I know what I'm gonna do and how I'm gonna do it, and just, I know. And coming from someone who has operated predominantly at the level of mind, when these shifts really filter up to my mind and I receive that clarity in the form of an insight, a channeled message, a download, whatever, it just all clicks. Everything clicks into place, and it's just like full go, green light, yes. And that's really how I felt. And so at the end of the breathwork portion, Alicia also plays sound bowls, and she basically spoke on that the breathwork is the masculine part of the session. It's like the doing the work, pushing yourself, going in, getting deep. And then the second half of the ceremony is the sound healing, where you just lay and you just receive the sound healing, the frequencies. And so right after receiving that insight, all of that miraculous healing and all of these amazing experiences within my body and within my consciousness, I was able to just lay there and bask in these healing frequencies and just integrate it all and just sit in that energy. And it was just so powerful. Breathwork paired with sound healing is just like, this woman at 12th House Studio, she knows what she's doing, and she's an amazing space holder. And just, yeah, I am just so grateful, because the day before this ceremony and everything, the day before the breathwork, Monday, was it was like the culmination of all of this darkness within me. And I didn't know how to process it, because I was trying to process it at the level of the mind, trying to get away from it, avoid it, just like get it to go away, and it wouldn't. And seeing the 180 I made from Monday to Tuesday was just like so profound, and also solidified why I want to help people at the level of human, at the level of the human, and why I am ready to claim my work as a certified shamanic life coach practitioner. Blending what I've learned through my Akashic work and my Akashic studies with this shamanic work to really serve people, not just at the level of the mind, but also at the level of the human, so that we can fully align with our soul and with these infinite aspects of ourselves that animate our body and that are directly connected to spirit and all of that. So, you know, I received that clarity. I knew exactly what to do, where to go, and yeah, just received so much clarity about this next chapter of my life. So the sound healing portion was amazing and just restorative and beautiful. And then at the end, she passed around snacks, cookies and grapes, and we all just kind of sat down and journaled about what we went through, and then had the opportunity to share if we wanted to, which was, again, so beautiful. I really don't resonate with being forced to share and like going around the circle one after the other, like that pressure building. I really don't resonate with that. And to see practitioners who have really stepped away from that like kind of school mainstream matrix way of doing things, and people who really honor like the human and our needs, and that not everybody's comfortable with that, that was amazing. Because it's so cool too. As everyone was sharing, I could feel that I didn't want to bother anyone, and I didn't want to bring my intensity into the sharing circle, because, you know, the day before I had been dealing with so much intensity, and then the rejection of my body and the suicide energy. Like, it was all very heavy things that I was releasing and processing. And I could feel this part of me that was like, oh, like, I don't want to trigger anyone else. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, you know, whatever. So I kept myself quiet, even though I wanted to share. Because I remember once the sound healing started, I was like, I can't wait to share how much this has changed my life and the insights and my career and just everything. But when it came down to it, that defensive sort of unconscious programming kicked in and was like, nope, like, you're too much. Don't bother people with your too muchness, your intensity. No. And I kept myself quiet. I loved hearing everybody else share, and it was beautiful. And actually, at the very end, she spoke up and said, we have room for one more. And I was like, you got to share. Like, you want to share, but you're not going to. Just do it. Just share. And I, raised my hand and shared a lot about just how I have been rejecting my body and how I've been sort of like running away, wanting to move out of state again, which I am still tuning into, and I do think is definitely something that I resonate with. Because I really don't resonate with living in the Massachusetts city, even though it's where I was born. And I do believe this last chapter of my life, I needed to come back to my roots to fully heal them. This is not for me forever. I do not want to live in the North Shore of Massachusetts forever. I am tuning into where I'm going to go, but I no longer feel like I need to leave in order to connect with community and to live the life I want to, because I was in this shared space of like-minded people who were talking about how they were speaking light language during the breath work and like all these things that I've only ever seen on YouTube. It was just so healing. And I spoke on that, how I just have really been desiring community and have felt so alone and rejected and judged by those around me because of my chosen path. But I remember I said something like, I thought I had to like move away and like leave here, but I don't. Like, my people are here. And I like put my arms up and everyone laughed and received me. And I was so happy that I did not listen to that old outdated programming, which is very much rooted in, where I am living now and the way a lot of my family and friends react to me, that I am very intense and I am very different from what we've been taught and told and programmed to believe. And that's very triggering for people. However, there are spaces and there are circles that can hold my light and that can actually amplify it. And for that, I am so, so grateful. And then, I left there and it was just, my life was forever changed. And I could feel that with the clarity I had received and with everything that I had worked through and released, that this was a new lease on life and a new chapter truly beginning. How synchronistic to all happen during eclipse season. Trust divine timing, always. We are always being led and we are always exactly where we need to be. And oftentimes when we say yes, even when the familiar parts of ourselves are screaming no, we literally quantum leap into a new level of being, a new state of consciousness, and a new form of existence. And if you're tired of the way you've been living life, of just the same old shit, the hamster wheel, the cycles of suffering, I really invite you to check out a lot of somatic healing practices, whether you're drawn to breath work or meditation or yoga or sound healing, Reiki, even things like ecstatic dance and mindful movement. All of these somatic practices are what truly changes our lives and can really show you that you are so much more than the stories you've been telling in your mind. And you are so much more valuable and exciting and worthy than maybe you've been told by yourself or by others. When you really do connect in with these unconscious aspects of yourself and you're able to see them truly in the light of your consciousness, you can see like, oh, like that's not true, or that doesn't make sense. That's not resonant. And then we can release them. So yeah, I definitely invite you to check out all of these things. And so to wrap up today's episode, I'll just speak on just my gratitude for all of the way showers, all of the mystics, the healers, the weirdos, the aliens on planet Earth right now who are paving their own way and who are giving permission for others to be themselves and to fully express themselves how they came here to express themselves, not how others want us to express. Because if we're always living from the outside in and always just relying on that feedback, then it's really easy to lose ourselves. And it's really easy to get caught in a lot of ego traps and situations that don't serve us just because we're trying to receive the approval or validation or love or to please those who are telling us what to do and who are taking our power. So yeah, I'm so grateful for all of those on YouTube and in person who have really helped me a lot in reclaiming my humanity, coming back to earth and truly reclaiming my life and wanting to live and wanting to be here fully and like really meaning that. And now, after I left this breathwork ceremony, and I would say up until like the moment I was filming this, I have been extremely exhausted because I exerted a lot of energy and did so much inner work that my body really needed time to rest. And so because I honored that, it has also really taught me that we need to step off of the hamster wheel of doing things the way we've been told to do. That even working every day, 9 to 5, exerting yourself, forcing yourself, laboring away, that is really not sustainable, and it does not honor the natural cycles and rhythms of life. Because so Wednesday, the day after the breathwork ceremony, I was like, okay, I need to film a podcast. I need to work on my website. I need to launch this new program. It was all these like needs and stepping into that really hustle, like, okay, gotta get work done. All right, back to work. And even though this is modeled by everyone around us and our society is very much set up to function this way, it does not mean it's normal, and it does not mean it's sustainable. Because if I had just jumped right back onto the hamster wheel right after all of that inner work that I had done, I feel like I would have just sort of backtracked, and I would have really taken on a lot more stress and unnecessary energies just because my mind is trying to bulldoze its way through life. And so because I really slowed down and honored my body and did a lot of my work from bed this week, it helped me to kind of come back to myself and to allow these processes that I am moving through to take place, and just honoring the natural cycles of my body. Because I have really seen through a lot of what I've learned in my shamanic life coaching certification and through my lived experiences through these shamanic and somatic healing modalities like breathwork, I have really learned that the body has natural rhythms and natural cycles. And when you honor that and when you lean into that, you can really move through life in quite a state of flow. And that when you feel really off and you feel really overwhelmed and imbalanced, it's usually because we are leading from the level of the mind, trying to meet expectations or external standards that do not fit us and our unique individual soul energy. And it's usually rooted in a lot of people pleasing, in wanting to please others to receive love and validation or acceptance, whatever we've been lacking often since childhood. And as I said, even though these lifestyles and these ways of being are normalized, it doesn't mean it's sustainable, and it doesn't mean it's good for you. So I really invite you to tune into what the needs of your body are, especially as you're moving through this eclipse season the next few days and weeks. Try to just be grateful that you have a life and that you have a body, and do the best you can to honor what it needs. So that means, maybe you usually wake up at 6 a.m. and you get right to it and you hit a great workout, and, that's how you start your day. And maybe that has been working for you. But if you wake up one morning and you really feel like your body needs rest, tweak your routine a little bit. Maybe stay in bed for an extra hour or so. Don't go right to doom scrolling or anything like that, but just honor what your body's asking for And maybe after an hour or so, you'll be able to step right into that workout and crush it and do even better than if you forced yourself to stick to the linear routine. This is the way it was yesterday, so this is the way it has to be today lifestyle. Because oftentimes what worked for us yesterday, or what even worked for us 20 minutes ago, is not going to work for us now. And that relationship, when we develop that relationship with our body and honor it in the now moment, it really, really can shift and change things for us. And so it is my primary intention moving forward to really serve people at not just the level of mind, but also at the level of the human. And so I am offering shamanic life coaching sessions at this moment. I'm not 100% finished with my certification program, but I'm more than halfway done. And I have seen that everything that I've studied and learned and integrated and implemented into my own life through this program has profoundly helped me a lot and has changed my life in just a matter of minutes. Because the more we try to intellectualize things and just understand things at the level of mind, we stay disconnected from our body. And even if we're experiencing like a tension or an emotion or a feeling state in our body, if we only intellectualize it and we don't really be present with it and move it in the body, it's going to just stay there and it's going to become a story, which is going to become a health crisis or an ailment as we move forward on our lives. Now, as always, take what resonates, leave what does not. Every situation is conditional and is subjective. So what's true for me may not be true for you today, but I just like to share what I've learned and what I've experienced because it may help you and it may inspire you to try new things that actually do work for you. And so some of the practices that I've learned in the shamanic life coaching certification have been, channeling these emotions and these states of being and these just kind of outdated aspects of my human that I want to rewire and I want to bring into balance and harmony with my soul, with my spiritual aspects. Practices like art projects, like tuning into my chakras and doing sort of energy work there. And also ritualistic dance practices and also clearing rituals like smudge rituals with sage and creating sacred space. And a lot of these shamanic tools and practices that I've learned through this program have really helped me to implement change at the level of human, at the level of my human, while also honoring my mind and honoring my higher dimensional aspects of being. And so if you are interested in learning more about the shamanic life coaching and what that entails and can do for you, I recently updated my website and added all the baseline information about it all onto there. So you can check out my website, ancientesoterica.com/shaman. If you're interested in booking a one-on-one session or booking a 9-week or 3-month package, that's what I have available right now. And as I work with people and get attuned to what everyone needs, I'll be able to tweak the program and the packages to best serve everyone. So I am sending you all so much love. I hope you are riding these waves of change to the best of your ability and enjoying your life and trying to give yourself moments of joy and excitement and love and peace as much as you can. And yeah, sending you so much love. Peace out.